We had all the right things going on. I mean, we were doing millions of dollars in revenue. We had all of the quote unquote heavy lifting done. It was the time where ideas on a napkin were literally being funded with millions of dollars. And so we got caught up in all of that irrational exuberance, as I think Warren Buffett once called it, and went down that path of trying to raise money to take the company public. And in that whole process of being blinded by the dot-com light and trying to go after all of those millions of dollars, we were convinced, we were told that we should sign away our management rights to the company because Wall Street is going to want to see more seasoned executives, people who have the gray hairs and, you know, are all of these lettered saviors, the CEOs, the CTOs, the CFOs, et cetera. And we bought into it. We bought into it hook, line, and sinker. So I literally walked away from everything, 9 years of hard work, from the domain, from everything that had transpired there. And it was certainly another very, very painful lesson. And I remember walking home with a box of my stuff and thinking, like, you know, how am I going to tell my wife, you know, about what's going on here? Because we had a kid at the time and just didn't really have an opportunity there to kind of just, I couldn't wait in my sorrow there. I mean, it's just, I didn't have the luxury of that time at that moment to really sit there and say, okay, I'm gonna feel sorry for myself here. I mean, we had to keep the roof over our head. We had to keep the lights on, and all of those things weren't going to stop just simply because I had made a decision to walk away. You know, the truth is I made a lot of mistakes and made a lot of money and lost a lot of money, and it was a pretty interesting trek over the next 9-year period. But certainly during that period, it became clear that everything that I was doing was really just for the money. And I knew I had to find something that would put more fire in my soul, something that really I would find more fulfilling, something that was really more sustainable. I went through a really, let's just say, a really trying emotional period. I had a pretty significant breakdown around November of 2013, where I really just felt like, okay, I've had enough. I've had a decent run, and let's just call it a day. But just too much of a coward to ever really end it. So I gave thought or two to driving really fast towards a turn and not turning the wheel. But that didn't happen either. So through some really good therapy and some really good little white pills and the love of the friends and family, I was able to get through that. Again, I think it really just boils down to understanding that none of our lives are what they appear to be, right? I mean, everybody's fighting a battle you know nothing about. Yeah, and reality for me is there's only one thing I can do, which is to move forward and to try to share what has worked well for me in my life with others, and hopefully help them avoid the same brain damage and trials and tribulations that I've had to endure. I don't think I would change anything in terms of taking the risks and trying the different things. I don't look back in any way and really feel like, I should have done this or I should have done that I didn't do. But what I would really say is just to seek out guidance on a more consistent basis. Money really is fleeting. It comes and it goes. And if you build your life based on how much money you want to make, that's going to be a pretty shallow existence. I really should have learned how to be more humble, and stop trying to feel like, I know what's right and I know what's wrong. And even if it costs a little bit of money, it's probably an investment well made when you seek out the counsel of others who can provide an outside perspective. All we can do at this point, after having learned the lessons, right, is try to share what we've learned with others. Otherwise, I think it's a selfish act when you don't. Is really just being able to recognize when you're faced with that moment of truth where a yes will lead you in one specific direction and a no will lead you in another, but at least making sure that you take responsibility for the decisions that you make and just really making a conscious choice about what to do in that moment and in as many moments that follow.